Hey everybody, and welcome back to Shell Bell Reads. So since January 1st, I have read 57 books. My goal is 100 by the end of this year. I have quite a bit of 5-star reads, but today I'm going to highlight the 11 physical books that I have on hand right now. Some of them were library books, and a lot were Kindle books. I usually give a book 5 stars if I really fell in love with the story, loved and connected with the characters, was surprised, or simply couldn't put it down. What qualifies a 5-star read for you? Let me know in the comments below. First up is Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohen and David Levithan. I loved this book as soon as I started reading it, not just because it features the Strand, my favorite bookstore in New York City, but the dual perspective between Dash and Lily was very well done, especially when you get parts of the same scenarios from both of their perspectives. I loved how bubbly and enthusiastic Lily was about Christmas and how much Dash was not. I'm going to keep this spoiler free, so if you have not read, please do so. Then watch the Netflix adaptation. It was totally cute. I'm looking forward to reading The 12 Days of Dash and Lily next. Next is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. This is the finale in the King of Scars duology. I will admit that even though I was excited to read it, I was also hesitant to dive in, and not because it's a chonker. And this is a pretty big book. But mostly because I'm not a huge fan of Nina, and she was one of the 3 main characters featured alongside Nikolai and Zoya. I will admit that I liked Rule of Wolves better than King of Scars. It was pretty fast-paced with enough action to keep it moving. I really liked Nikolai's and Zoya's stories the most. They were very captivating and left me wanting more. Not just of them, but even more story. Murder Lo Mein by Vivian Chien is the 3rd in her Noodle Shop mystery series and my new favorite cozy mystery series. This was a fun, quick read that I thoroughly enjoyed. And we have Verity by Colleen Hoover. Was a surprise. I had seen Verity everywhere on Book Talk and Bookstagram and was actually very annoyed by it. I had never read Colleen Hoover before and had actually never heard of her before Book Talk. Then I decided why not and took the leap. And wow, I could not put it down and devoured the entire thing in a couple of days. Even now, I still think about that ending. Could not wait to get my hands on House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, which is the 2nd in the Crescent City series. Now, this was a pretty hefty chunker, about 800 pages. As soon as I got my hands on a copy, I dove right in, and let me tell you, this was not an easy book to get a hold of. I love the story, but I will admit that at times it got a little slow and there was too much focus on a couple of secondary characters. What cinched it for me, what took it from a 4 to a 5-star read, was the jaw-dropping ending. I also then went back to A Court of Thorns and Roses series with A Court of Frost and Starlight, also by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 4th installment, and I think it was the novella, as it is, as you can see, the shortest in the series so far. The focus was on celebrating the winter solstice, and it was simple, it was enjoyable, it was kind of a nice little peaceful story in between. I believe the last one was A Court of Wings and Ruin, and then the next in the series, which is A Court of Silver Flames. So I did decide this year that I wanted to kind of dive into some horror, and had heard about Nick Cutter. So I gave The Troop a try. This was an engrossing and often very gross read. I was pulled in right away. I didn't want to put it down. Just be aware if parasites and body horror are not your thing. Let's see. Move these around a little bit. Okay, next we have Pandora Gets Jealous and Pandora Gets Vain. And these are the first 2 books in the Mythical Misadventures series by Carolyn Hennesey. I love this series where 13-year-old Pandora must capture all the evils she accidentally let loose on the ancient world. There are 7 books in the series. I've already read the first 5 years ago when they first came out, and then lost track of the last 2 being released until a few months ago. So I did get the last 2, but I'm rereading to get back into the story. These are fun, they're entertaining reads that I just fly through. So if you have not heard of Frieda McFadden before, I suggest you give her a try. Because after reading The Locked Door, which I devoured in a little over 24 hours, I now want to read every one of her books. This was unputdownable with a jaw-dropping twist I didn't see coming. And finally, I read Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris as part of the Creepy Book Club, which you can find on both Facebook and TikTok. This was another one I couldn't put down and devour pretty quickly. I will admit it was kind of predictable in a way, but it still had a surprise twist that kind of made my eyes go wide. So I would love to know what your 5-star reads have been so far for 2022. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you have activated the bell for notifications. And happy reading.